Welcome back, Double Team fam. How are we doing today? I hope you're having a great day. And if you're not having a great day, I hope it gets better. Jesus, you're supposed to say something.
Yes. Oh no, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, that's fine. Anyways, so whatever. I'll just lead this. Anyways, so this might actually be the last episode of Nikki and I together for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, essentially, this is the last episode that we're recording, the two of us together. Or the last one that this is the last episode that we are releasing, the two of us together. I know we discussed in previous episodes, so for the remainder of the year, I have a little segment I'm doing, and I'll be releasing that. But this is our last episode together.
Juntos.
And that feels really weird to say because we've been doing this for the last 4 years of our lives. And
woo!
When I think about where I was when I started this podcast, it is definitely quite different than where I am now. I was 27 years old in a corporate job, married in a non-monogamous relationship. And obviously, I feel like now, that's the complete opposite of where I am. Goes to show how much can change in just the span of a few years. So don't even bother with that 5-year plan. Really, just don't. But yeah, a few episodes ago, we kind of took a little walk down Los Angeles lane, memory lane. This is going to be an episode about a little walk down podcast memory lane, or double teamed memory lane. I don't know. I feel like, and we've mentioned this before, but the podcast brought so much into our lives. So I really do want to take this episode to say thank you to you guys for, whether you've been here, whether you're fairly new, whether you've come in and out intermittently. I really do want to say thank you because this podcast has meant so much to us and it's brought so much into our lives, and I'm very, very grateful for it. And even though it changed many, many things in my life, I do think that it was all for the better. So yeah, this is going to be a little walk down memory lane of Double Team Podcast.
How are we structuring this?
I actually really liked, so I heard this question on another podcast. It was Jason and Travis Kelsey's podcast, and the question...
Oh, it was theirs?
Yeah, it was theirs. The question was, if you could switch lives with any of your guests for 48 hours, who would you pick? And that had me thinking, because we've had so many guests on the show, and I've loved so many, or all of the guests really that we've had.
My first answer is Kimmy Inch.
Or Colette Pervet.
Yes. I want to know, she did the whole, DJ to dominatrix pipeline. I'd love to know, what that was like. And
or experience that.
Yeah, experience that. But also, she throws some dope ass retreats. I would love to know, how she does that, how she presents herself and what goes through her mind and all those things.
How she's a leader, yeah.
Exactly. How she facilitates this. So if I could do anything, it would be to switch places with her for 48 hours.
I would pick Colette Pervet, who's also a dominatrix, because she had some of the most fascinating stories. And she just looks like she lives such a mysteriously ethereal life.
Yes. I could see
that. That also sounds dope. But honestly, another one, this is one of my favorite guests of all time. And I actually have listened to this. I listened to this episode the other day, not long ago. And I've listened to it a few times because it is one of my favorite episodes that we've ever done. Therapy Jeff. Oh, such a good episode.
My next one that I was going to list was going to be Nick Viall.
Oh, you'd trade places with Nick Viall for a day?
Yeah.
I sometimes forget we had him on our podcast. We did.
But we did,
It was at the very beginning. It was within the first 10 episodes.
Looking back, I wish we would have done that episode later in our career life, in our podcast life, because I feel like then we would have been better prepared, I think.
I don't think it was that we were ill prepared. I think we were just so naive.
Exactly.
In some ways, yeah.
We would have been better prepared.
I do think that
Therapy Jeff is a solid choice though.
Yeah, Therapy Jeff was one of my favorites. I do forget we had Nick Viall on the pod. And honestly, most inspirational guest we've ever had, Wendy Strigar.
Love her.
Oh, she was so I just feel like she's really lived a life for herself,
Yeah.
and like really just like went out and made a change in the industry. And like, I love Wendy for that. But yeah, I feel like our guests have been so inspiring. And like, you know, we've had friends, we've had people, we like, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever like literally, you know, had to sit down in a room with a stranger and record an hour-long conversation. It's daunting at first, and there's definitely so much that goes into it. And
we used to
prepare a ton.
Yeah, we used to actually like write out an outline, get some questions together, like do a little bit more research than like we did now, you know. And actually, I don't know, but then I feel like I
feel like we really grew as like interviewers and also as conversationalist, that eventually like it became second nature.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing, we built that skill. So then later on when we were having guests, it would just be like, okay, like let's know a little bit about them, like the main things to like, you know,
touch on. Yeah.
Ask them, you know, a few points on like what they'd like to talk about, and then otherwise, like, to keep it authentic, we would just wing it.
Yeah. And I felt in the beginning it was good to have questions. I agree 1,000%. But as we like got better at it and like we just like figured out how to be more naturally inquisitive, maybe, I don't know, you know, the skill that we developed exactly how to articulate it. But regardless, it got to a point where it felt like I didn't need the questions because they just kind of naturally came. And or if I had a list of questions, it felt like too much pressure to try and get through questions instead of letting the flow of the conversation happen organically.
You know, one thing I wish I would have honed in on?
What?
Removing you know, and like from my vocabulary.
1,000%.
But
I still haven't made that
like,
happen.
No, you just said like 20 times.
Did I? I'm
yes.
so sorry.
But anyways, I like...
It's hard. It's really hard.
It's really hard. It's a lot harder than you would think. But I was watching this clip the other day of this trans woman, and she was saying this whole spiel on a podcast, and she did it without without you knows, without likes. Like, it was just so crisp and articulated so well. And I was like, fuck, why haven't I been working on that skill these past 4 years? And like, the thing is, for me, I feel like, you know, my confidence as a podcaster really grew, I think, around like
year 2 for me,
middle of year 2, probably like end of 2022 going into 2023, especially when we were planning live shows.
Yeah, 2023 I thought was like the highlight,
exactly,
the height of the
but
pod.
Even then, like, if you think about it, you know, when we were planning the live shows, I did a lot of the back end shit. And then you were the one that I just throw on stage and, you know, guide the direction, you know, guide the ship to the dock. And I was over there just like, trying not to be, I'm not the best public speaker. I'm not. I can't wait to redeem myself at Nicole's wedding. Anyways, but you know, when I look back at my podcasting career, like, fuck, I have become a good interviewer, yes, but I wish I was more, I don't know, articulate with how I say my, you know, spiels. But also, I have squirrel brain, so like sometimes a thought comes and I'm chasing it, you know, in real time, and y'all get to go along the journey with me. So,
and I know there have definitely been times where we post a clip and people will bring up how many times one of us says like, and they'll be like, but I have noticed when I listen to other people talk,
it's the same shit. Did you not hear Jennifer Coolidge's speech last year when she received, I don't know if it was an Emmy, Oscar, whatever it was, she said, you know, every other word, okay? And then they cut that whole speech by chopping every you know, and actually made it sound like she, you know, actually did not say, you know.
Well, keep in mind, too, that sometimes, you know, other clips that you see on a podcast, you know, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. You take that. I've stopped taking it out. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just kind of depends, because sometimes I don't like kind of interrupting the flow of it. But I will say it has made me a lot more cognizant, like going back and editing and realizing how often I do say it, even though it is really hard to break the habit. But on the other hand, it does make me more aware of it when other people do too. And I realize it is just a very human thing.
It is a human thing. And I think it takes a lot of practice to gather that kind of like charisma where you know,
or to sharpen up your speaking in that way.
Exactly. So in the sense that, you know, it's kind of like The Sims, you know, you always have to practice charisma in front of the mirror before your career.
I forgot about that.
Exactly. But it's like you do have to be consciously working on it and like always know exactly what you're going to say. And sometimes when you're just going off cuff all the time, like,
well, and that's another
you know, it's going to be very present.
And
okay?
that's another thing
Like,
that I was going to say is a lot of times if you are trying to recall a memory or you are trying to think of scenarios that haven't necessarily happened or speak in hypotheticals, or you're trying to make a point or articulate a point that you have not articulated yet, you have not processed yet for yourself, your brain will use like, you know, and more often because it's creating like new neural pathways.
Nikki knows where exactly what my ums look like on a
On the
record.
editing. Oh my God, I can see it every time. Sometimes I don't even have to go in and listen for it. I'm like, oh, there's one, delete. There's one, delete. And so I do find that I give myself a lot more grace after, you know, being more aware of it. But however, that's probably one of the best ways to put it. If it is like a thought or an idea that your mind has not explored yet, a lot of times you will use more likes, ums, and you knows because you have not articulated it before. Things that we've talked about to each other, I feel like, that we actually have discussed, we have an easier time going through without using a bunch of likes, ums, and whatnot. But I do agree. I think, you know, we have become really good at conversations a lot of times, you know, especially in the last like year or so, or in the last like 2 years, I would say it's really easy to just sit down and just poof, come up with nothing because Cami
Like
and
we
I just
literally
talk so
yeah.
because Cami and I talk so much in our day-to-day lives that like it's just sometimes these podcasts are literally just a recording of a conversation we'd have in a normal.
Do you think we're going to lose that, you know, whenever we're living apart and moved away from each other?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Well, because like I think about it now and I'm like, we in the past like 6 months when you've been in Italy, you know, and away, like we actually haven't done a lot of phone calls.
No, I think we're trying to give each other a little more space.
Yeah,
which
we
is
have
not
been
bad.
trying to do that. No, but I'm curious to see like how it evolves in the next year when we're like actually like not coming back to each other you
and
know,
living apart.
and living apart. Yeah,
And we're no longer we don't have joint finances anymore. We won't be living together. We're not co-parenting our pets together. So
I feel like we're gonna have to be more intentional about like our friendship.
yes, I
You know.
agree. We're gonna have to go back to doing sister trips. Before Cami and I lived together in California, we did sister trips every year.
Yeah.
To stay in touch. So one year we did Vegas, one year we did Arizona. We did there was one more. Oh, you would come to LA.
Yeah.
When my ex-husband was out of town, she would come to LA and we'd just like hang out in LA together. This was all before she moved out here. So that was really fun. And I would look forward to that again.
I would too. Yeah.
But I do think our dynamic will change. This is our divorce. I don't know if you guys realize it. We always joke that this relationship has been like a marriage the last 4 years because it has. You know, like I was thinking about it the other day when I was thinking about what I would say at your wedding. You know, that I know you're going to make a great wife because you have been a great wife. You know,
I wrote in mine, I hope your husband's ready for a husband.
I'll let him know. But you know, like you've made a home out of our apartments.
This is her dentist. Please schedule her cleanings. I'm kidding. You're gonna have to find a new one.
Anyways, so yeah, this is technically like our little divorce. We've already split up our finances. We've had joint finances for the last.
Nicole, this is supposed to be about the podcast.
Oh
so.
yeah, 2 years. Anyways, okay. Another thing I want to point out: favorite memory of like meeting a fan in out in the wild.
Oh, we got recognized the other day.
I know.
I think we talked
We've
about
met
it.
a few of you, and I know we've mentioned this before on the pod, but one of my favorites was probably when we were in the shower at Camp EDC, and all of a sudden this girl goes, "Double teamed," and we were like, "Yeah."
Yeah, there I am, my little shower caddy and towel.
I know. I'm like, I have a towel on. Like, I just, you know, like I'm not looking cute. And she was like, "You guys are much shorter than I thought," or something like that. And so funny. And then later that night, we also got recognized again. And Cami was in the middle.
Not in the night. It was like a 6 a.m. sunrise.
You're
set.
right. Cami was in the middle of a mental breakdown. So that was, I just want to say for any of you, even if it didn't seem like it when you met us in person, any of you that like came up to us and like recognized us, like
It always means the world.
it always meant so much to me because
One
like,
time we were at the gym.
yeah.
And this one guy looks over at me. He goes, haha.
And then
he's
he
like,
shows us his phone and he was literally listening to our episode.
yeah.
And, you know, for two people that like, I'm, you know, not famous by any means, like, it's just so, you know, as a creator, I would say like, it's sometimes just so like
I'll never
heartwarming.
forget,
Yes.
we were on our way to New York, I think. We were at a gate at the airport. And this girl turns around and she goes, and I was like, what's wrong? Like, what's
happened?
going on?
Yeah.
And she goes, double T?
No, she was
And I
like, she was like, podcast. You have a podcast. And we were like, oh yeah. She was like, double teamed. And we were like, yes.
I was like, what's wrong? I also had my hair in a bun. I was so messy. I do want to say to any out in the wild interactions that we've had,
Thank you. Those have meant the world to us.
yeah.
Also everyone that like reaches out like in our form submissions, not in a creepy way, or in our DMs, also not in a creepy way. Some of those conversations have meant so much to me because it's so touching to see people going through the same things that we were going through at the time, or, you know, have gone through whatever. And at times it made me feel so not alone in things. And it made me just feel so fulfilled in what I was doing as a creator in like putting out this podcast, because I'm like, you know what, there were so many things that I explained that I was like, oh my God, I think this is weird. And then people would be like, no, me too. And that meant the world to me as well, because for any creator to feel like they are truly connecting with their audience, like it is a really cool feeling, and it just makes you feel so good about the work that you're doing.
We had a whole episode where I didn't understand shit about what Nikki was talking about.
But then we had
and
like
she
5
posted it, and someone was like, I get exactly what you're saying. And I was like, I'm glad someone did. We literally fought on it. We were midway through the recording. We had a huge
We had to
fight.
pause, yeah.
Had to pause the episode. We were mad at each other for like 30 minutes, and we had to come back and cut that whole scene out.
relax, start over. It was a whole
Yeah,
thing.
it was bad. But someone understood what you were saying, and I was really happy about that because I sure as fuck didn't.
And then I felt seen and heard and understood.
Exactly. I will say, you know, through the podcast, I loved being a creator in the sense that like it really is very special when you get to make something, you know, create some. I'm assuming this is what mothers feel like.
Yeah.
When
No, you're
when you
birthing,
create and birth something and, you know, bring it out into the world, and for it to be accepted and loved and, you know, all those things is really powerful. So it's just like whenever, you know, and we have not, you know, obviously we're not call her daddy level, but like, you know, making any sort of difference in other people's lives and helping them feel seen in their kinks or their non-monogamy journey, whatever, has also just been like a huge source of inspiration, and also worth all the losses of people we had to say bye to due to the podcast.
I do also want to say I love that you use the word inspiration, because like some of the, you know, people that we have met from the pod have been very inspirational, not just in our guests, but also like you guys as listeners, because like things that you've written in, done, whatever, like given us so many great ideas and stories throughout the years, and like sharing things that I have found very inspirational. So I have loved that piece of it as well. And you know, there are some of those stories that you guys have shared that like I still tell other people, you know, and that I still like share, you know, in my day-to-day life, because I was like so inspired by them. So yeah. And then we also had the pleasure of working with a lot of brands, and thank you guys for, you know, putting up with ads and whatnot. I hope if you ever tried any of the products that you like them and enjoy them, because we did try to really pick brands that we genuinely enjoyed working with. But if I had to pick my two favorites, personal fave is definitely third. The lube, because I really do love their lube. But I would say my two favorites from a business standpoint have been Peep Show and Evie. Peep Show pays on time and so well, but also they are so good. Like it's a family run business, and like
that's what I love about it.
They are like good run people. Good, like I've just really enjoyed
honest
working.
People.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed working with them.
One thing that I loved about Evie is
and Peep Show was always there to support us through anything.
The live shows,
everything. And so I think that was like one of my favorite things about them is that every live show they were so excited to support, and they
were just always down,
and they supported well, like financially, and I felt so validated by that. And I hope you, and I use their Solinas, especially now in my long distance relationship. Like I use their Solinas on a probably weekly basis. They are so freaking good. So yeah, that's been one of my favorite brands. Evie as well, just because
Evie was a huge win for me. We started working with them through an affiliate code. And then they reached out and they're like, oh, like this is performing really well. And I took that chance to be like, hey, let's do a paid campaign. Are you down to work at a larger capacity? And they ran with it. And we've done 3-4 campaigns since. And it is a huge win when your love for a product and the way that you're presenting it translates to other people and, makes a brand happy too. So,
but also like makes a difference in your life, because I think that that's one of the biggest things is that for Evie, and especially, or the brands that I've mentioned, especially, in this one, is that like Evie has changed the way I go about my vaginal health, like on a day-to-day basis for myself. And so like, not only, do I hope like it's beneficial for you guys, not only am I glad that we're helping support the brand and giving them more, awareness, but like I actually genuinely love the work that Evie does and like have made it an integral part of like my, vaginal health. And like, I've loved that because they have changed the way that I look at my biome, and my body in general. So that's been really cool. But yeah, it's just like, when we started the pod, I don't think we we even thought we'd be, booking campaigns with ads and like having it pay, a good portion of our rent or our expenses and such. And so to take something that just started out as like a fun little thing and turn it into a whole ass business
was fucking dope.
And I'm proud of it.
I am. And I want to do it again.
Like maybe we'll start a mom podcast,
who knows? But like I was thinking about it and I was like, in all of my future positions, like right now I'm job searching. Hopefully by the time this episode's out,
we got 45 seconds.
Hopefully by the time this episode's out, I already have a job, but like I need creativity. I need to be able to have a creative outlet. So I hope to find that in all my positions. But anyways, guys, we're running out of time because this chip is low on memory.
We've got 20 seconds. We love you guys. Thank you so much. And I'll see you for the remainder of the year with my series.
Wear condoms if you're being a hoe.
Go, go, go.